The courtroom doors hadn't even finished closing before whispers exploded like wildfire. Cameras flashed, phones vibrated, and just when everyone thought Rashida's divorce hearing would be a quiet, procedural step toward closure, everything changed. Because Jasmine walked in. Yes, Jasmine. Fans are shocked, stunned, and scrambling for answers after witnesses claim Jasmine appeared at Rashida's divorce hearing unannounced, dressed head to toe in confidence, with a look that said she wasn't there to sit quietly in the back. She was there to be seen. And more importantly, to be heard. You could feel the tension crackle in the air. Emotions ran high as heads turned, mouths dropped open, and Rashida herself reportedly froze mid-sentence when she realized exactly who had just entered the room. For months, rumors had swirled about unfinished business, buried secrets, and conversations that never made it off the cutting room floor. But no one, absolutely no one, expected this. Why would Jasmine show up now? What did she know? And why choose this moment, of all moments, when the marriage was already hanging by a thread? According to insiders, the energy shifted instantly. Friends exchanged uneasy glances. Family members stiffened in their seats. Even the judge allegedly paused, sensing that something was about to go off script. This wasn't just a divorce hearing anymore. This was a powder keg. And then came the moment that has everyone talking. Jasmine didn't just appear, she allegedly spoke. And when she did, sources say she dropped a bombshell so explosive it left the courtroom in stunned silence. A revelation so personal, so emotionally charged, that it may have changed the entire trajectory of Rashida's divorce, and possibly her future. Fans are already taking sides online. Some say Jasmine was wrong for showing up at all, accusing her of reopening old wounds and chasing attention. Others argue she had every right to speak her truth, especially if secrets were being hidden behind closed doors. Either way, the family was left divided, and the fallout was immediate. Tears, raised voices, accusations flying like daggers. And that was just the beginning. Because what Jasmine revealed didn't just affect Rashida, it pulled multiple people into the storm, forcing long simmering tensions into the open. By the time the hearing adjourned, one thing was crystal clear. This divorce was no longer just about a marriage ending. It was about secrets exposed, loyalties tested, and a past that refused to stay buried. So buckle up, because if you thought you knew this story before, think again. The night everything changed didn't begin with cameras or shouting or chaos. It began with silence. The kind of silence that feels heavy, uncomfortable, like something is about to explode. Erica Mena sat alone in a dimly lit room, phone face down on the table, hands shaking just slightly as memories she had buried for years clawed their way back to the surface. This wasn't planned. This wasn't scripted. This was a bombshell waiting to detonate. For years, fans thought they knew her story. The fiery arguments, the public breakups, the emotional breakdowns that played out in front of millions. But what fans didn't know was that behind every tear, behind every outburst, there was someone else. Someone hidden, someone powerful, someone who was never supposed to be revealed. According to sources close to Erica, the secret relationship began at a time when her life was already spiraling. She was vulnerable, searching for stability, desperate for someone who understood the pressure of fame and the weight of constant judgment. That's when he allegedly entered her life. Not as a headline, not as a rumor, but as a quiet presence behind the scenes. Late-night phone calls, private meetings, promises whispered in shadows. Erica reportedly believed she had finally found someone who saw her beyond the drama. Someone who told her, "With me, you're safe." But safety came with conditions. Secrecy, silence, control. Friends noticed changes before they knew the reason. Erica became more guarded, more emotional. She would cancel plans at the last minute, disappear for days, then return acting like nothing happened. When questioned, she brushed it off, laughing it away, saying she was just tired. But those closest to her say they could feel something was wrong. One friend allegedly confronted her, saying, "You're not yourself anymore." Erica didn't deny it, she just looked away. What made the relationship even more explosive was who this person allegedly was. Insiders hint he wasn't just someone from her personal life. He was connected, influential, someone whose name alone could shake the industry if spoken out loud. That's why Erica stayed quiet. That's why she played along. She was told exposure would ruin her career, her reputation, her family. And at first, she believed it. She convinced herself the love was worth the cost. Emotions ran high behind closed doors. The relationship was intense, passionate, and volatile. Arguments would erupt over the smallest things. Erica reportedly once screamed, "I gave you everything," while he coldly replied, "And I gave you protection." Those words stuck with her. Protection. From who? From what? Over time, Erica began to realize that what she thought was love was slowly turning into a cage. Meanwhile, the public saw a completely different story. Fans watched her navigate other relationships, breakups, and reconciliations, unaware that behind every headline was a secret agreement. According to sources, Erica was instructed on what she could say, who she could be seen with, even what emotions she was allowed to express publicly. When she questioned it, he allegedly reminded her of everything she had to lose. Family tension started to build. Erica's relatives reportedly sensed something was deeply wrong but couldn't get her to open up. Dinners turned quiet, conversations felt forced, the family was left divided, some believing she was simply overwhelmed by fame, others fearing something darker was happening. One family member allegedly told her, "Whatever you're hiding is eating you alive." Erica broke down in tears but still said nothing. The turning point came during a heated argument that insiders describe as explosive. Voices raised, accusations flying. Erica reportedly confronted him about the lies, the manipulation, the way she felt erased. He responded with a threat that changed everything. Not physical, not violent, but calculated. He allegedly said, "If you ever speak, I'll make sure no one believes you." That was the moment Erica realized the truth. She wasn't being protected, she was being silenced. After that night, everything shifted. Erica started pulling away emotionally. She became colder, more distant. The relationship didn't officially end, but the illusion shattered. Behind the scenes, Erica began documenting things. Saving messages, remembering details, preparing herself, even if she didn't know exactly when or how she would speak out. Fans noticed her energy change. Interviews felt tense. Smiles didn't reach her eyes. Speculation grew, but no one guessed the real reason. When rumors began circulating online about Erica being difficult or unstable, it hurt more than fans realized. According to sources, those narratives were allegedly being fed quietly, subtly, to discredit her before she ever opened her mouth. Erica felt betrayed, not just by him, but by an entire system that benefited from her silence. Still, she held on, afraid of the fallout. Then came the night she finally cracked. Alone, overwhelmed, scrolling through comments calling her crazy, dramatic, toxic. Something inside her snapped. She allegedly whispered to herself, "They don't know the half of it." That's when the decision was made. She would no longer protect a secret that was destroying her. But speaking out wasn't easy. Erica wrestled with fear. Fear of retaliation. Fear of losing everything she built. Fear of hurting people she loved. She confided in a small circle, testing the waters. Some reacted with shock, others with disbelief. One friend reportedly said, "If this comes out, it's going to change everything." Erica nodded, already knowing that was the point. As whispers began leaking, the mysterious figure allegedly caught wind of it. Messages were sent, calls were made, attempts to regain control intensified, promises mixed with warnings, apologies mixed with blame. Erica was torn, emotions running wild, but for the first time, she didn't back down. She didn't respond immediately. She let the silence speak. Fans started sensing something was coming. Cryptic posts, vague captions, eyes that looked tired but determined. Comment sections exploded with theories, but no one imagined the truth was this deep. This dark, this personal. Erica was standing at the edge of a revelation that could either free her or destroy her. And as the pressure mounted, one thing became clear. The secret relationship wasn't just a chapter in her past. It was the key to understanding everything that came after. And just as Erica prepared to finally speak, a shocking message appeared on her phone, changing the course of everything and setting the stage for an even deeper unraveling that no one saw coming. The sound of paper turning felt louder than any shout ever could. Each flip of the page landed like a verdict waiting to be spoken. Rashida's legs weakened and she slowly sank back into her chair, her attorney murmuring something she couldn't hear over the pounding in her ears. Jasmine stood still, hands clasped in front of her, face unreadable, but her eyes told a different story. There was pain there, relief too, and something else, determination. The judge finally looked up. This court was not made aware of these communications, he said carefully. The room erupted again. Emotions ran high as voices overlapped, accusations flying before anyone could stop them. "This is ambush," someone shouted from Rashida's side. "She planned this." Jasmine turned slightly, her voice cutting through the noise. "I planned to tell the truth. Nothing more." Rashida snapped to her feet again. "You think this is truth?" she cried, tears streaking down her face now. "You took pieces of conversations and built a story that benefits you." Jasmine shook her head slowly. "No, I took the full conversations. The parts where promises were made. The parts where futures were discussed. The parts where I was told I mattered. That last sentence hung in the air like smoke. Rashida's mother stood abruptly. You need to have some respect, she said sharply. This is a family matter. Jasmine met her gaze without flinching. Then your family should have treated me like a human being instead of a secret. Gasps echoed again. Fans are shocked would later be plastered across headlines, but in that room, it was raw disbelief. No filters, no edits, just truth colliding with denial. The judge raised his hand. Enough. This is not a talk show, he said firmly. But even he couldn't fully contain what had been unleashed. However, he continued, if these documents are authentic, they are relevant to the context of this divorce. Rashida's attorney leaned in urgently. We need a recess. Jasmine exhaled slowly. A recess won't change what's already written. Rashida turned to her, voice trembling with rage and hurt. You could have come to me. Privately. Jasmine's eyes finally filled with tears. I tried, she whispered. You didn't want to hear me then. That was the moment Rashida's expression shifted. Not anger, not defiance, but something closer to fear. Because she knew exactly what Jasmine meant. Flashbacks flooded her mind. Missed calls, ignored messages, moments she chose silence over confrontation. She had told herself it was easier that way. Now, silence had a price. The judge granted a short recess anyway, and chaos followed instantly. People stood. Whispers turned into arguments. Phones came out despite warnings. Security struggled to keep order as Jasmine stepped aside, her back against the wall, breathing heavily. A woman from the opposing side approached her, lowering her voice. Are you sure you want to do this? She asked. Once it's out, there's no taking it back. Jasmine nodded. I've already lived with it. They haven't. Across the room, Rashida broke down in her mother's arms. I can't believe this is happening, she sobbed. She's ruining everything. Her mother whispered fiercely, we'll handle this. She won't get away with it. But even as she spoke, uncertainty flickered across her face. Because deep down, everyone knew this wasn't about getting away with anything. It was about consequences. Fans watching leaked clips later would dissect every tear, every glance, every pause. Sides were already being chosen. Some defended Rashida, insisting Jasmine was manipulating the moment. Others rallied behind Jasmine, praising her courage for speaking up in a room that clearly never intended to hear her. When court resumed, the atmosphere was colder. Sharper, like everyone had braced themselves for impact. The judge addressed Jasmine directly. These messages reference meetings and financial discussions, he said. Can you explain their relevance? Jasmine swallowed hard. Because decisions were being made that affected more than one household, she replied. Money moved, plans changed, and I was told to be patient while promises were delayed. Rashida slammed her chair back. You're making it sound like I knew everything, she shouted. I didn't. Jasmine turned to her fully now. You knew enough. Silence followed. Even Rashida's supporters looked uneasy. What does that mean? The judge asked. Jasmine hesitated, then spoke slowly, deliberately. It means there were conversations where I was told you were aware. Where I was told this situation was temporary. Rashida's face drained of color. That's a lie. Then explain the message from 3 months ago, Jasmine said quietly. The one where you said you needed time but didn't want to lose me. A collective gasp. Rashida staggered backward as if struck. Her attorney whispered urgently, did you send that? Rashida shook her head frantically. No, she's twisting it. But the judge was already asking for the document. Rashida's world felt like it was collapsing. The narrative she had carefully maintained was cracking in front of strangers, cameras, and people she once trusted. The family was left divided not just emotionally but morally. Some believed her, some didn't, and that uncertainty was the cruelest part. Jasmine wiped her cheeks. I didn't come here to destroy you, she said. I came here because I was destroyed quietly, and I'm done being quiet. The judge sighed deeply. This court will need time to review all evidence. Today's hearing cannot proceed as scheduled. Another shockwave. Fans are shocked became reality in that instant. This divorce was officially paused. Unresolved, tangled in truths that refused to stay hidden. Rashida collapsed into her chair, staring straight ahead, numb. Jasmine picked up her bag, hands shaking slightly, but her posture remained firm. As she walked toward the exit, Rashida finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. You didn't have to do it like this. Jasmine stopped at the door. She didn't turn around. Neither did you, she said. And just like that, she was gone. Leaving behind a courtroom filled with unanswered questions, fractured loyalties, and a divorce that had just become something far more complicated. The hallway outside the courtroom buzzed like a shaken hive. Reporters pressed against the velvet ropes, shouting questions that no one was prepared to answer. Security barked orders. Someone was crying. Someone else was laughing nervously. And in the middle of it all, Rashida stood frozen, staring at the closed courtroom doors as if they might reopen and undo everything that had just happened. Her attorney touched her arm gently. "We need to go," he said. Rashida nodded, but her feet wouldn't move. Her mind replayed Jasmine's words over and over, each one cutting deeper than the last. "You knew enough." The sentence echoed until it felt carved into her bones. Across the hall, Jasmine leaned against a pillar, eyes closed, breathing slowly as if grounding herself. A producer she recognized from years of reality TV chaos approached cautiously. "You just changed everything," he said under his breath. Jasmine opened her eyes. "No," she replied. "I told the truth. Everything else was already broken." Behind them, fans who had somehow gained access to the building whispered excitedly, phones raised, capturing every angle. "Fans are shocked" was already trending before anyone even left the building. Rashida finally moved, guided by her mother and sister, their arms wrapped tightly around her. "Don't say anything," her mother hissed. Not a word, but Rashida couldn't stop herself. As cameras flashed, she broke down. "I didn't ask for this," she cried. "I just wanted peace." Those words would later be dissected online, some calling them heartfelt, others calling them performative. The family was left divided not just in private but in the public eye, where every tear became a talking point. Hours later, the fallout continued behind closed doors. In a quiet conference room, Rashida faced her legal team. "Tell me what this means," she demanded, her voice hoarse. "Tell me how bad this is." Her attorney exhaled. "It complicates everything. Timelines, finances, intent." He paused. "And perception." Rashida laughed bitterly. "Perception is already ruined." "Not necessarily," he said carefully. "But Jasmine's claims introduce doubt. And doubt is dangerous." Rashida slammed her hand on the table. She knew exactly what she was doing. Meanwhile, Jasmine sat alone in her car, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly they ached. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Texts from friends, strangers, people she hadn't heard from in years. Some messages were supportive, others vicious. One message stood out. "Why didn't you say this sooner?" Jasmine stared at it for a long time before replying. "Because no one was listening." Back at Rashida's house that night, the tension was unbearable. Family members filled the living room, voices overlapping, opinions clashing. "She's lying," Rashida's sister insisted. "She wants attention." "Then why does the evidence look real?" another relative asked quietly. That question silenced the room. Rashida stood near the window, staring out into the dark. "I never wanted it to get this far," she said softly. Her mother turned sharply. "What does that mean?" Rashida hesitated. Her silence spoke louder than any confession. On social media, fans were ruthless. Clips from the courtroom replayed endlessly. Jasmine's calm demeanor contrasted with Rashida's emotional breakdown, fueling endless debates. Some praised Jasmine's composure, calling her brave. Others accused her of calculated cruelty. Emotions ran high across every platform. Reaction videos, think pieces, anonymous insiders leaking selective details. Everyone wanted their version to be the truth. The next morning, Jasmine received a call she didn't expect. "We need to talk," a familiar male voice said. The one at the center of everything. Jasmine closed her eyes. "Now you want to talk?" "Please," he said. "Things have gotten out of control." Jasmine laughed softly, without humor. They were out of control long before yesterday. They met later that day in a secluded cafe. Tension filled the air before either of them spoke. "Why would you let her find out like that?" he asked, voice low. Jasmine's eyes flashed. "Why did you let me believe lies?" He ran a hand through his hair. "I was trying to fix things." "By breaking everyone?" she shot back. He looked away. "I never thought you'd go that far." Jasmine leaned in. "You never thought I'd speak." That silence was louder than shouting. Back at Rashida's camp, damage control was in full effect. Statements were drafted and redrafted. Publicists argued over wording. Every sentence felt like walking through a minefield. "We focus on healing," one suggested. "Growth." Rashida scoffed. "People don't want healing. They want blood." And blood, metaphorically, was exactly what the internet demanded. Late that night, Rashida finally picked up her phone and scrolled through Jasmine's messages from months ago. Unread. Ignored. She felt something twist painfully in her chest. Maybe, she whispered to herself, this is on me too. But accountability was a dangerous thought. One she wasn't ready to face yet. As the night stretched on, both women lay awake in separate places, haunted by the same question. What happens next when the truth is finally loud enough that no one can pretend they didn't hear it? The next few days felt like a slow-burning wildfire, spreading in directions no one could control. Every morning brought a new headline, a new leaked clip, a new so-called insider claiming to know what really happened. Rashida stopped watching after the third breakdown went viral. She couldn't stand seeing herself frozen in moments of pain, replayed and analyzed by strangers who spoke with certainty about a life they had never lived. Inside her house, the air was thick with tension. People came and went constantly. Family members arguing in hushed tones. Friends offering comfort that sometimes felt like judgment. The family was left divided in ways that no one wanted to openly admit. Loyalty lines blurred, trust cracked. "You need to say something," her sister insisted one afternoon. "You can't let Jasmine control the narrative." Rashida stared at the wall. "What narrative?" she asked quietly. "The truth? Or the version that makes me look better?" Her sister faltered. "The one that protects you." Rashida laughed bitterly. "I don't know how to do that anymore." Across town, Jasmine was experiencing a different kind of storm. Support poured in, but so did hate. Strangers dissected her past, her expressions, her motives. Fans are shocked had turned into fans are suspicious just as quickly. She stayed offline as much as she could, but the noise seeped in anyway. One night, she sat on her couch surrounded by printed screenshots, notes, timelines. Not because she needed them anymore, but because letting go felt terrifying. These papers had been her proof, her shield. Without them, she was just a woman standing alone in the aftermath of truth. Her phone rang again. The same number. She let it go to voicemail. Minutes later, a text appeared. "Rashida knows now. Everything." Jasmine closed her eyes. Her chest tightened. She typed slowly. She always knew something. Back at Rashida's home, that knowledge sat like a weight. The man at the center of the chaos stood in front of her, hands clasped, eyes downcast. "Say it," Rashida demanded. "Say it to my face." He swallowed hard. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." Her laugh was sharp, almost hysterical. "You never do. But it always does." "I was confused," he said weakly. "No," Rashida snapped. "You were comfortable." Those words cut deeper than any accusation Jasmine had made. He flinched. "Did you tell her I knew?" Rashida asked quietly. He hesitated. That hesitation was everything. Rashida felt something inside her finally break. Not shatter dramatically, but collapse inward, like a structure that had been standing on borrowed time. "Get out," she said. "Rashida, get out," she repeated, louder now. When the door slammed behind him, she slid down against it, sobbing uncontrollably. The house was full, yet she had never felt more alone. Meanwhile, Jasmine met with her closest friend, someone who had known the full story long before the public ever caught a glimpse. "Do you regret it?" the friend asked gently. Jasmine thought for a long moment. "I regret that it took so much damage for the truth to matter." "You know people are saying you destroyed a marriage." Jasmine's jaw tightened. "I didn't destroy anything. I exposed what was already broken." Back online, fans split even further. Reaction videos debated body language, tone, intent. Some argued Jasmine's timing was cruel. Others insisted Rashida's silence was the real betrayal. Emotions ran high, and empathy was in short supply. Then came another twist. A new leak surfaced. Audio. A private conversation recorded months earlier. Voices unmistakable. Plans discussed casually, almost carelessly. The internet erupted. This time, there was no room for interpretation. Rashida listened to it alone in her bedroom, hands shaking. When it ended, she sat in silence, staring at her reflection in the mirror. "I sound so sure," she whispered. "So wrong." For the first time, anger shifted direction. Away from Jasmine, inward, and toward the man she had defended for far too long. She called her attorney. "I want to move forward," she said firmly. "No delays. No protection." On the other end of the line, he paused. "Are you sure?" Rashida inhaled deeply. "I'm done carrying this for everyone else." News of her decision spread quickly. "Fans are shocked" again trended as speculation exploded about what this meant for the divorce, for finances, for reputations. Jasmine found out through a mutual friend. She sat quietly, processing. Relief mixed with sadness. Vindication mixed with exhaustion. "It's not over," her friend warned. Jasmine nodded. "I know. Because while the legal process resumed, the emotional reckoning was just beginning. Apologies were demanded. Forgiveness debated. Alliances shifted yet again. Rashida prepared herself to face the world, knowing she could no longer hide behind denial. Jasmine prepared herself to be questioned, criticized, and doubted all over again. Two women connected by the same web of lies, standing on opposite sides of a story that was still unraveling. And somewhere between accountability and survival, both were about to discover that the truth, once unleashed, doesn't choose sides. And now the question is sitting right in front of you, heavier than ever. After everything you've heard, after every tear, every accusation, every secret dragged into the light, where do you stand? Because this story is far from over, and the choices made next could change everything. Rashida walked into that courtroom expecting closure. Instead, she walked out carrying truths she can't unhear. Jasmine showed up expecting resistance, maybe even hatred, but she also showed up with a voice she refused to silence any longer. Emotions ran high, lines were crossed, and the family was left divided in ways that may never fully heal. And still, so many questions remain unanswered. Will Rashida truly hold everyone accountable, or will pressure from family and public opinion force her back into old patterns? Will Jasmine be able to move forward now that her truth is out, or will the backlash pull her into a storm she never intended to create? And what about the man at the center of it all? Will he finally face the consequences, or will he find another way to escape responsibility? Fans are shocked not just by what was revealed, but by what still feels hidden. There are gaps in the story, moments we haven't heard, conversations that haven't surfaced yet. And you know as well as anyone that in stories like this, the biggest revelations often come when everyone thinks it's already over. This isn't just about a divorce anymore. It's about silence versus truth, comfort versus accountability, and whether telling the truth late is better than never telling it at all. Some believe Jasmine's timing was unforgivable. Others believe it was the only moment she would ever be heard. Some stand firmly with Rashida, while others feel her silence caused more damage than Jasmine's words ever could. But what do you think? If you were in that courtroom, watching it all unfold in real time, whose side would you be on? Would you protect your peace, or would you risk everything to expose the truth? Would you forgive, or would you walk away for good? This story doesn't end here, and your voice matters in how it continues. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us who you believe, who you don't, and what you think should happen next. Do you see redemption on the horizon, or is this a point of no return? If you felt the tension, if this story pulled you in and made you question everything you thought you knew, make sure you hit that like button. It lets us know you want more deep dives, more twists, and more stories that don't shy away from the messy truth. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next, because trust us, this saga is far from finished. And turn on notifications, because when the next bombshell drops, you'll want to hear it the moment it happens. Until then, remember, in stories like this, silence always costs more than the truth. And sometimes, the most shocking moment isn't what's revealed, but who finally finds the courage to speak.